And we've got to see Parramore for what it is. Look at its residents. Look to me. I'm the only thing up here that looks like I used to be there or was there that will not be minority for long. We're going to guarantee that. You give me 3 years and there will not be, well, never mind. But we meet a lot of people, good people and bad people, as elected officials, and you get to know them. Some of them you like and some of them you don't. And the ones you like, you sit down and talk to. The ones you don't, you don't.
My name is DavidvanGelder. I reside at 742 West Amelia Street, Orlando. I am a Parramore resident within the Callahan neighborhood. I want to start by telling each and every one of you that I appreciate the time and the effort you are donating to this committee. I'm not so sure how qualified most of you are as non-stakeholders, and I'm very disappointed that many stakeholders who were qualified were not asked to serve. Every single study has determined that intense concentration of crime within Parramore is the cause of most of the problems. The social service agencies being concentrated within Parramore is a significant cause of the intense crime. Parramore property values have not appreciated, as this gentleman that spoke before this last lady said, as they have in College Park, Thornton Park, Colonial Town, Delaney Park. Parramore is within the boundaries of the DDB and is therefore a part of downtown, while these other neighborhoods are not. Residents and property owners have not had a voice in the decisions made in Parramore, no matter how many bogus studies were mismanaged. Many feel they have no representation. Commissioner Lynum will not return calls if you are not her friend.
And the ones you like, you sit down and talk to. The ones you don't, you don't.
Ann Brown is the only resident on this committee, and she has been used by Daisy time and time again. There are other residents that can serve. Is Ms. Lynum here to listen to her constituents?
No. Ladies and gentlemen, keep our feet to the fire. Make sure we do right by you.
It is always the process that is the problem. That is probably going to be no exception in this case. The city and government subsidizes homes that will be built will not be successful if crime is not controlled and reduced to the levels enjoyed by the surrounding downtown neighborhoods. If the crime is reduced to normal levels, the city would not need to subsidize anything, as developers would rush in to develop Parramore. Every realtor will tell you that the 3 most important things about real estate is location, location, location. Parramore is in downtown and in the CRA. The tax increment fund increases, the income from those increases is the city's for the next 40 years to be used within the CRA district. If Parramore is allowed to develop like the east side of I-4, the massive increased tax income could be used to move the social services into a grand facility outside of Parramore. Those funds would also could be used to help the Parramore tenants achieve home ownership in Holden Heights and other neighborhoods in Orlando. You are already moving them out in record numbers without any financial help.
That will not be minority for long. We're going to guarantee that. You give me 3 years and there will not be, well, never mind.
And what would happen to the homeowners in Parramore, like this gentleman that just spoke? If they chose to remain in Parramore, they could. But if they wanted to move into a better home or a better neighborhood, it could be possible. Why? Because their properties would have appreciated like all the other neighborhoods surrounding downtown. This is a very important meeting, and I'm very upset that Ms. Lynum is not here.
I'm going to always do what's right. I'm going to do what's right for the people there.
Let me give you a perfect example of how you BS the public. That lake and retention pond, for example, when the mayor, I'm sorry he's not here to hear this, did a photo op with the children of Harvard Baptist, and all of y'all were there. That is not a lake that is intended to improve Parramore or to revitalize Parramore or anything of the nature like they say. What it is the fact is that Youth Supply and City View were allowed to develop street to street and corner to corner and did not have to put a retention pond. So in addition to all the costs that OUC, the CRA, the city, home ship funds, and all the other subsidies that they received, which should have gone to the poor and to the residents of Parramore, not only did they waste all of that money, but they went ahead and bought this darn land, dug a retention pond in there, which I don't blame you as the contractor. I do agree with the gentleman that spoke earlier, the dirt is worth a fortune, $3 to $8 a yard. You got millions of yards there. There's millions of dollars to be gained. And I hope that that is used for the benefit of the city, maybe even for the benefit of Parramore. Thank you.
Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been in favor of just about every CRA project that we've had come before us, but I do have some concerns of this, and it's not because I want to be an impediment to progress or anything else. I think that in terms of high-density development, we've had more of a track record, more success, but I've even had in my district problems with lower density developments that we've done, and it's created a lot of problems, but we are going to push it through the CRA, and in order to quote-unquote keep that residential. What my concerns are is that if we don't do a good project here, we're going to end up having the same kind of problems with a bad residential redevelopment in this district that I have in mind. I've listened to the CRA Advisory Committee, which did make unanimous recommendation over that, and they had concern over inaccurate comps. Most of the comparison data for the real estate was based on Lake Davis and Lake Cherokee. Now, my own neighborhood doesn't sell at the same rate as Lake Davis and Lake Cherokee, but we're comparing Parramore to Lake Davis and Lake Cherokee, and that's just, I don't know how anyone could think that that was an accurate comparison to base $500,000 home prices on. And $167,000 to $225,000, while that might be affordable in terms of today's market, that does not provide anything that people in Parramore can afford. And I just don't see how that's going to keep Parramore residents there.
That will not be minority for long. We're going to guarantee that. You give me 3 years and there will not be, well, never mind. Over 5,000 people in Parramore have left.
And you can have more affordable if we're going to incentivize it that heavily than to try to put $500,000 homes there. I just don't see it happening. Now, I've heard, and this is a direct quote, well, we won't buy in this area, but others will. Well, who are these other folks that can afford to do this? And I just don't see this making any sense. And planned developments are supposed to be superior development. Planned development doesn't mean profit-driven, it means planned development. It means a superior design. And I just can't see doing this to Parramore. Not because I don't care, not because I'm white and I don't understand, I'm going to keep hearing that. It's because I've lived a lot of these things and I want better for Parramore. I just don't see why we have to rush this through and why we can't do something a little bit better, have some more competition, why we only got 2 bids. You know, it's kind of like saying if you only get 2 people apply for a job, you're going to hire the worst of 2 evils. You don't do that in the marketplace. Why should we do this in this situation?
PSA is a great development company, and whatever he's done. I know Patrick. I knew him personally. I knew his wife. I knew his mama. I knew all of them.
I just think that if there was a good opportunity, we would have had an awful lot of people put in for this. And maybe there's a problem when you only have 2 people put in for a plan. So even though I have supported every other development, and it breaks my heart to vote against something that I know is important in terms of stabilizing this neighborhood, I just can't do this because I want better.
Charles Jackson, pastor of First Chapel AME Church. Parramore is never going to be the Parramore that Parramore once was. We can forget it.
I know Reverend Jackson's main interest right now will be getting somewhere to park. That's what you're interested in, Reverend Jackson. And I'm willing to try to help you. But
I just don't see this making any sense.
People we've never heard of will come back to Parramore. It's never going to be like it used to be.
It does not have to be gentrification. Gentrification is literally running all the black people out. So in order to preserve it for our heritage, you've got to have some black people here, or there's no heritage. So you better get that through your minds and your heads.
That will not be minority for long. We're going to guarantee that. You give me 3 years, and there will not be, well, never mind. Over 5,000 people in Parramore have left. We want some people to come back, and they're not going to be the 5,000 who left, and that's okay.